Welcome to the Darkstream. I'm Box Day, and tonight we're starting with Infogalactic News. Infogalactic News is coming soon, and so I'm just going to review quickly the top 5 stories of the day, beginning from the last, or the fifth, the 5th to the 1st. So anyhow, the first story is the Oroville Dam. That's still shaping up to be a big issue. There's 200,000 people under evacuations in California. Things are under control right now, but with rain expected later in the week, there is some question as to whether the spillway is going to hold. The fourth story is an international one. The first mosque in Greece since 1833, and Greece's independence from the Ottoman Empire was just approved by the Greek government. This is a disaster of massive proportions. But you know, whom the gods would destroy, they first make mad. The third story is that Jane Yellen is talking about raising interest rates. There are some reports that inflation is at a 4-year high. I'm a little dubious about that, but the traders are expecting rates to go up in June and December, so they're claiming that it's not going to happen next month in March, but it is something to watch out for. I've been expecting rates to get jacked up ever since Trump won, because that's how the Fed tends to keep presidents in line. And so, but that's a story. Yellen is not committing to raising rates, but she's saying that she might. The fourth story is related to our friends, the SJWs. The YouTube sensation PewDiePie, the gamer, was dropped by Google and by Disney because they claimed, or because they were unhappy with his anti-Semitic jokes. Now, what's significant about this is the gamer has 53 million subscribers. I've actually heard numbers as high as 57 million. I don't watch PewDiePie myself. You know, I'm an old game reviewer. I was the first or second nationally syndicated game reviewer in the States many years ago. But you know, so it's not really the kind of thing that I would personally watch. But the point is that you are not too important. You are not too big for the SJWs to go after you. If they're not happy with you, if they want to get rid of you, they will, and it doesn't matter how much money you make them, it doesn't matter how big you are, they will go after you for questioning the narrative. Now, obviously, Google and Disney are both Jewish-controlled, which is why they're probably not inclined to be very pleased with anti-Semitic jokes. That's understandable, but and they have a perfect right to fire whoever they want. They don't have to have a reason to fire somebody. But the point is you can see what they're willing to do. They're willing to fire somebody for cracking a few anti-Semitic jokes, whereas they're just fine with people, you know, cracking jokes about Christians, about white people threatening to kill white people, etc., etc. And so, but you know, the important aspect, the important lesson there is that it doesn't matter how big you are. It doesn't matter how popular you are. You know, you see somebody like Cernovich who's got, 200,000 Twitter followers, and Twitter's still jacking him around and messing around with his notifications and doing little shadow bans and all that sort of thing. So that's why it's so important to build your own platforms. You know, yes, I'm doing this on Periscope, but last night I did my first Gab TV. We've got some other stuff that we'll be introducing soon. So the point is, you have to build your own platforms. It's okay to use other people's platforms, but it's a very, very bad idea to make yourself dependent upon them. And so, you know, that's why we started Infogalactic. That's why Andrew Torba started Gab. And that's why we're doing Infogalactic News, which we'll be announcing very, very soon. Yeah, the Gab TV beta will run fine when I get a better internet connection next week. So, I mean, I'm literally increasing my my upload rate by a factor that is too high to admit without being embarrassing. So the point is, build your own platform. PewDiePie should build his own platform. He doesn't need YouTube. He doesn't need Disney. He's big enough that he can do it himself. Is he going to bring all 53 million subscribers over? No, but who cares? If he brings over 5 million, he's going to be doing a lot better than he was with 53 million on YouTube. So now the fifth story is the big one. General Flynn resigned as the National Security Advisor under pressure. I'm a little late getting this started, actually, because I was just chatting with Mike Cernovich about it, and as you can imagine, given that we're kind of on different sides of the story, as it were, we just have different interpretations. We don't. Mike's a little bit to the civic nationalist side. I'm a little bit more on I'm considerably more on the alt-right side, but his take on it makes a lot of sense, and I don't fully agree with it, but you certainly can't argue with him when he's talking about the importance of morale. I've written about the importance of morale. I've published books that go into great detail about the importance of morale. But that being said, and I did agree with what Mike said, is that if it was a trust issue, yes, then he's going to have to go. But perhaps, name a book I published, please. Do you want one that I wrote myself, or do you want one that I published? We published 75. But yeah, the book that you would want, since we're talking about morale, is have a look at the 4GW Handbook, the Fourth Generation War Handbook by William S. Lind and Lieutenant Colonel Gregory Thiel. I edited that one. Book that I wrote, I'd recommend either SJWs Always Lie or Conservative if you like nonfiction, or if you want fiction, give A Throne of Bones a try. So anyhow, do I think Trump should have waited? I have to admit, I do think that it probably would have been wise, simply because of the perception that he is vulnerable to media pressure. If there was any sense of him doing it because of a fear of a distraction or the media or whatever, then you probably don't want to do it then. Then you probably want to stand firm, quietly demote him behind the scenes or so forth. That being said, I have no problem whatsoever. On the Gab TV broadcast last night, I said, prior to the resignation, I said, if Flynn lied or misled Pence, then he has to go. There's no question. You cannot have someone in your strategic circle that you cannot trust. I was talking with a friend about it earlier today, and I said, hey, if you're in my inner circle, and I can't, and I find out that you lied to me or you lied to someone else on the team, you're going to be cut out of that circle, because I no longer can trust you to accurately communicate with me. And so I not only have no problem with Trump getting rid of Flynn. I think that he had absolutely no choice but to do it, assuming that it is accurate that that Flynn somehow misled him. Now, that's funny. Here, let's get rid of the troll here. I don't know why it's giving me a stop broadcast thing, but I don't want to stop. Okay, I'll stop messing around with it. The correct thing the correct thing for Trump to do now is to come back strong. Whining about the moles, playing defense as they're going after Kellyanne Conway, and they're going after Bannon, and they're going after, whoever else they want to try to get rid of. They're probably not going to go after Mattis. But the important thing is that they have to, Trump needs to make it clear that he is not being influenced by it. I don't have a problem with people disagreeing with me. Cernovich doesn't agree with me. That's okay. I'm simply saying that if I was in Trump's shoes, and it was the case that, Flynn told me that he had lied to Pence, or even misled Pence, I would have told him, you have to resign. Period. There's no chance that I would permit somebody who would make that error in judgment to be part of my strategic inner circle. I'll have to look up Scott Adams. I haven't seen it. So anyhow, it's the thing is, here's the other. That's not even up for discussion. That's just the way that it is. What I will say, though, is that I don't really see Flynn as much of a loss, simply because he was far too in bed with the neocons for my liking. I was not, if you recall, I was not enthusiastic about his appointment the way that Mike and many others were, simply because of the fact that he had written a book with Michael Ledeen, Mr. Faster Please. And if you don't know what Faster Please means, Faster Please is a demand for going to war with Iran. All right? So, anyhow, it's, this guy is just an idiot. Anyhow, now the thing is that Flynn was, however, pretty good on Russia. And it is a concern that people are trying to beat the war drum for going to war with Russia, which would be absolute and utter madness. Destroying Iran is not really possible. The United States does not have the ability to do much in Iran unless it's going to actually go nuclear. And so, the state of the U.S. military is not particularly good at the moment. If you talk to people in the military, like I do, if you talk to, if you just read the relevant sites that are devoted to military preparedness, there's no way that we can reasonably go in. It's not like Iraq. Iraq is a desert. Iraq is a desert that's 1/3 the size of Iran. Iran has a lot more people. They have a decent military, and they have what Martin Van Creveld calls the finest light infantry in the world, with Hezbollah. Hezbollah was able to fight the IDF to a virtual standstill the last time they got into it in Lebanon, and Hezbollah has been very actively involved in Syria. They've actually done quite a bit of the ground fighting, supported by the Russians in Syria. And so it would be a absolute and utter disaster for the U.S. to try to get involved militarily in Iran. Now, as bad as that would be, it actually makes a lot more sense than trying to get involved with Russia. Okay? Fred Reed, the former military correspondent, used to say that there are 3 levels of stupid. There's stupid, there's military stupid, and there's invading Russia stupid. And so, Napoleon was one of the most brilliant military minds that humanity's ever known. He lost. then obviously, Hitler sent in the Wehrmacht, one of the most efficient and effective fighting machines in the history of man, and they lost badly. And so if the U.S. were to get involved in an offensive war, which is what we're talking about, we're not talking about the U.S., we're not talking about Wolverines and defending the U.S. The U.S. is also a very secure place in terms of its ability to resist foreign invasion. But Russia is the same way, and if we start beating the drums and start trying to demand that the Crimea be given back or something, Putin will end up taking Ukraine, and will end up taking Georgia, and will end up taking all of those places that the Obama administration made a very bad decision to try to push NATO, to expand NATO to include those. I personally believe that Trump's victory kept us out of war because Hillary was promising that we were going to bring Georgia and bring Ukraine into NATO. And that would have given Putin 6 weeks to make sure that Ukraine and Georgia were occupied before NATO before they could be invited to join NATO. So, NATO is crumbling. And look, somebody had a comment: can we admit that Russia is not some sort of paradise? Obviously, it's not. If it was, we would all want to go live there. The reason Putin is so popular is because under him, Russian life expectancy has grown something like 12 years. He's done a good job turning it from a hellhole into a place that people, that Russians can actually live and get by. And so, that doesn't make it a optimal place to live. It doesn't make it a paradise, but also it makes it a place that it would be utterly insane for the U.S. to try to get involved with, especially because the real global threat is China. And so, and that's why I also think that the Flynn situation was very interesting, because it happened right after Elliott Abrams was rejected for the State Department. So, Elliott Abrams is obviously a huge neocon, and so it's interesting that Abrams was rejected at the same time that just a day or two before Flynn was asked to resign. So I think this is all good. I think that the neocons are dangerously insane, that most of them should be arrested, and that most of them are, certainly that absolutely no one should pay any attention to anything that they say. So it's the neocons are not on the side of America. They don't give a damn about America. They've proved that. You just have to listen to Bill Kristol. He doesn't, he came right out and said it, that he doesn't give a damn about white working class Americans, that they should just be replaced, and then, like Kevin Williams said, they should go away and die. They are literally Trotskyites. They are the followers of Leon Trotsky. Their politics are so far of the left, you can't believe it. They're globalists, they're anti-nationalists, they're anti-American, and their only use for America is to try to take advantage of its strength, its wealth, and its military. And so I have no sympathy or regard for them whatsoever, and no one who's sane should. But we don't keep voting them in. They keep worming their way in, like they did to the Bush administration, like they did to the Obama administration. That's a good point. Somebody pointed out, Kristol actually said he prefers the deep state to the Trump state. These are not people that support democracy. They're not people that even support the republic, the Constitution. Nobody votes for neocons. Nobody would, because they're mad. They're absolutely insane. And so, and that's why I say again and again, we need to concentrate on the truth. We need to speak the truth. And that is enough to expose them, because they are people of the lie. It's not, a lot of people say, oh, well, it's anti-Jewish. Well, that's not true. There's plenty of Jews that are not neocons. It's funny that and one thing a lot of people don't realize is the Israelis don't like them very much either. I was talking to a Israeli about it, and he said, oh yeah, they love Israel, and just like with the Americans, they're willing to go to war to the very last Israeli. And so, well, it's not anti-Semitic to call a neocon Jew a neocon. Bill Kristol is a neocon. I mean, he's literally the son of the guy who came up with a name for it. Yeah, and like somebody said there, neocons are globalists, Israelis are nationalists. Their fundamental perspectives are as opposite as Americans and the American interests and the neocons. That's why they hate the concept of America first. And that's why, someone like Flynn, I don't believe is really truly a neocon. He was neocon connected, he was neocon influenced, but he wasn't a true neocon, because I do believe that Flynn is definitely pro-American. It's just that, many people who are pro-American get misled into thinking that American national interests are somehow global or universal in nature, and that's just not true. So, let's see. Okay, there we go. Can I tell you anything about my chat with Mike? Yeah, I can tell you a few things. I mean, you have to understand that we don't agree on. Not only do we not agree on everything, we have just very different ways of thinking. Both of us are strategic thinkers, but I think that Mike would probably say that he's a bit more tactical and I'm a bit more abstract. And so, he's often looking at things in their impact in the current media cycle, the next few weeks or so. And I'm usually thinking about, okay, how is this likely to play out over the next few years? And so, if you're talking about politics, just the ebb and flow of politics, I would tend to trust Mike and take Mike's word for things more than mine. If you're looking for the general trends and how things are going to go for the next few years, I would probably say that I'm a little bit more reliable in that sense. Now, it is interesting. We talked about the whole war with Russia thing. He agrees with me that it is absolutely and utterly mad to even make noises about it. It's not rational. It's totally insane. However, he was saying, look, you're looking at it from the view of a highly intelligent, highly informed person. He said, if you're talking about somebody who's got 115 IQ and doesn't know a damn thing about military history and just believes that the U.S. is the superpower, you might think that it's a good idea. You might go along with it. And so, maybe he's right. I hope not. I know that Bannon knows better. And I know that Mattis probably knows better, but it's just not the fact. But Mike does have a good point. The fact that something is not viable, the fact that something is not possible, has not stopped many political leaders and generals before. They often go along with things. Sometimes, in the case of Japan in World War II, for example, they will go right into a military situation, that they know they're going to lose. because honor demands it, because they feel like they have no choice. Now I don't see how that is possible. And yes, there's also those who say, well, they're not on the front lines, so they don't care. But the point is they're not going to get anything out of it. We're not going to end up with any Russian territory. The U.S. is not. Western Europe is not. It's absolutely not going to happen. And so, anyhow, we'll see what's up. We'll see what's up. I personally, but here's the thing. I have confidence in the God Emperor. I have witnessed people counting him out since Iowa. People were saying that Trump can't possibly even be a serious candidate. And then he comes in third in Iowa, and some people are already pronouncing him dead. And even if the firing of Flynn was a mistake, then he will learn from it and he will come back stronger. He's done it again and again and again. Somebody said on the blog they were looking forward to watching this Darkstream tonight because they said, there were times during the campaign that we got down and Vox kind of, helped increase our morale or, boosted our morale by pointing out that there was no reason for despair or something. There's no reason for despair. This is not a big deal. There are literally dozens of other high quality, high intelligent, master strategists who are perfectly capable of filling the role that Flynn is filling. I mean, honestly, I could probably do it. There are, certainly, my Uncle Chuck could absolutely do it. And so, there's multiple people who are perfectly capable of handling what Flynn was doing in my own family. So I know that there are plenty of good people, smart people, strategically minded people who are capable of filling that role and advising the God Emperor in a wise and effective way. Now, that doesn't mean that one is, Trump is going to fill the position with one of them. We don't know. But I think that we're pretty certain. I'm not self-aggrandizing much. I'm talking about, for example, in one case, the former commandant of the Marine Corps. Anyhow, but what I'm saying is that the chances are pretty good that they're not going to bring in somebody who is banging the drum for war with Iran. The chances are pretty good they're not going to bring somebody in who's going to be ludicrously banging the drum for war with Russia. All right? And so it is important for Trump to come back strong, and that is what I believe he will do. Because if you look at what he did during the campaign, he always pushes hard for a while and then relaxes and lets things coast for a bit, looks around, thinks about what he should do, rests, and then he comes back strong again. Okay? Now he's taken some blows. He's taken some blows, there's no question about that. And so hopefully, I believe that he is learning from them. Trump, don't believe the news reports about how he has no idea what he's doing, or this is going wrong, or they've been reporting that kind of bullshit ever since Iowa, and yet somehow he just magically recovers. I mean, think about it. He went through 3 campaign managers. Each time he fired a campaign manager, then the media was talking about disarray in the campaign. He can't possibly win now. And each time the move that he made improved his position and helped him win. people also, do you remember during the transition? How did the media report him getting rid of Chris Christie? Oh, it's disarray. The novices in the Trump administration have no idea what they're doing. And then suddenly the transition happened smoothly. Trump has some good minds around, and if Priebus is not loyal, he'll be gone relatively soon. And keep in mind something that, I reminded some people on Gab about this earlier. I wrote on November 11th, so before the inauguration, I said that there was going to be more turnover in the Trump administration than any administration we'd seen before. And that people should just be aware of the fact that there was going to be a lot of turnover because Trump doesn't wait. Once he decides that somebody has to go, whether it's for reasons of trust, whether it's for reasons of performance, he is going to make the call very quickly. He's going to get rid of that person, and he's going to get somebody else in who he believes will be an improvement. And so I think that this is going to be very educational for all of us. It's going to be very interesting to see who he brings in to replace General Flynn. And I will be surprised if that choice is not somebody that a lot of us believe is better in a number of ways than Flynn. And I mean, Flynn is a smart guy, but based on the stuff that I read, there wasn't a lot of praise for his management style and that sort of thing. Now, maybe that's media bullshit. I don't know. I don't know the man. I've never spoken to him. But he would not be the first smart guy who was not always able to communicate effectively to his subordinates. Certainly a problem I've had in the past, and it's a problem that I've seen a lot of smart people have. Flynn did great work during the campaign. Doesn't mean that he was ideally suited for the role that he was in. So, is Flynn wound a bit too tight? For me, a little bit. But I'm not. I'm not the one who has to work with him. So maybe that was needed in that role. I don't know. But I don't think that if you're talking about Trump, I don't think that Trump panicked under pressure at all. And Flynn did not panic under pressure at all. I don't think that he intentionally lied to Pence. I think that he probably figured, we didn't go into any substantive detail, so not a big deal. It wasn't. I think that he probably rationalized it away. One of the downsides of the highly intelligent is that we have a tendency to, we're very effective at rationalizing things in a way that allows us to convince ourselves. Now, here's the other thing that, speaking of this claim that he lied to the American public and got caught, first of all, he didn't lie to the American public. If he lied to someone, he lied to Mike Pence. Secondly, we haven't seen the transcripts yet. We don't know what he actually said and didn't say. And so it is premature to say that he lied. And it's possible, it's possible that it was just a case of misleading and self-rationalization. Either way, it doesn't matter. The important thing is, whatever it is that he did, it was apparently something that I believe Trump does have the full story. He certainly has the transcripts. So, so if it's not a serious national security breach, that's just, okay, this guy's a troll. Let's get rid of him. Drink up, everybody. Anyhow, but yeah, the deeper problem is that it does reveal the way that the CIA is spying on everybody. But here's the thing. Flynn should have known that. I assume that everything that I do, every communication I have, every email that I send, every Skype conversation that I have is recorded. And so, if they're going to, if anything that I say, anything that you say, you have to assume is going to be recorded and possibly used against you. And so that's why, you should probably try to keep your story straight. It's a lot easier if you just tell the truth. The leaks are a serious problem, but, leaks have been a huge problem for, every president that I can remember going back to Carter. So I very much doubt that that's going to stop. So does that make me self-censor? Yeah, I think so. There are certainly times that I think things or would like to say things that I know it would be unwise to say, either because I don't know that it's true, I don't know that it's false, or just because it would needlessly upset or offend various people. We all have thoughts. Even my brainstorms. I mean, there's nobody ever communicates fully what's what's on their mind. Especially, Space Bunny occasionally tells me, please don't share. So, but it's fine. We don't even always know what we think. So, anyhow, that's it for tonight. Thanks for stopping by. We're going to be introducing Infogalactic News very soon. Can't wait to show it to you guys and get you guys all using it. Tomorrow night I'll be on Gab TV. So if you want to tune in, stop by Gab TV. Otherwise, we'll see you here on, I guess it would be Thursday. And we'll be back here on Periscope on Thursday. Thanks very much and have a good evening.